scream of the Shalka, the scream of the Shalka, the scream of the Shalka. The Scream of the Shalka, the animated attempt to revive Doctor Who, graced screens in November and December of 2003 to mark the show's 40th anniversary, featuring the melodious voice of a very bored Richard E. Grant as the kinda sorta not really Ninth Doctor, an incarnation that seems to be going through a full-on dramatic goth phase, with a melancholy energy and a wardrobe that could best be described as Dracula chic. Cosgrove Hall bestowed upon us this flash animated opus, a masterpiece to rival the Sistine Chapel according to people who haven't watched it. But lo and behold, fate had a cruel twist in store. The live-action revival, led by Russell T. Davies, immediately relegated the Scream of the Shalka to unbound status, a term so aptly vague it's as if the universe itself shrugged in ambivalence. But someone who wasn't ambivalent was Davies himself, dropping the absolute ether on Grant's portrayal. I wasn't a fan of Richard E. Grant in it, I have to say, and yes, you can print that. I thought he was terrible. I thought he took the money and ran, to be honest. It was a lazy performance. He was never on our list to play the Doctor. So, what actually happens in Scream of the Shalka? Well, the kinda sorta not really Ninth Doctor finds himself in the quaint village of Lannet, Lancashire, a place where dread is in the air and fear is the only language the locals speak. And then aliens show up. Enter Alison Cheney, a barmaid who aids our Doctor in battling the nefarious Shalka, lurking beneath the village and making their preparations to add Earth to their empire of 1 billion worlds! So then they run into some aliens and there's some peril, and also the Master is there for some reason, but everything's basically fine in the end. It's Doctor Who, you know how Doctor Who works. This is a Doctor Who YouTube channel. Subscribe to my Doctor Who YouTube channel! Paul Cornell drew inspiration from the War in Heaven in constructing this new Doctor's status quo, with the Doctor seeming to suffer from PTSD due to a recent terrible conflict. RTD also drew inspiration from the War in Heaven by ripping it off. Seriously though, it is interesting to compare and contrast how Cornell and Davies approach the 8th Doctor novels, with Davies completely refusing to acknowledge them while also taking heavy inspiration, and Paul Cornell vaguely hinting they happened while not committing to them and completely alienating outsiders in the process. It's also interesting to note that the novels were seemingly being written to tie into Scream of the Shalka, with this incarnation of the Master, played by Derek Jacobi weirdly enough, showing up as an incorporeal spooky man in Sometime Never, the Deadstone Memorial, and the Gallifrey Chronicles. But alas, the universe has a cruel sense of humour. Plans for sequels were as fleeting as a Time Lord's regeneration cycle in a blender, shelved indefinitely as the BBC's live-action revival took flight. And the rest, as they say, is history. It's interesting to look back at the many different attempts to bring Doctor Who back to our screen, and think about all the different parallel universes where Shalka, the Leakley Bible, or the Dark Dimension ended up being the silver bullet that brought Doctor Who back. Parallel worlds can be strange and uncertain places, but one thing we can be certain of is the fact that David Tennant ended up being the Doctor in every single one of them. And if you're curious to see how it might have gone down in one of those parallel universes, why not check out this video about the Leakley Bible, an attempt by America to bring Doctor Who back. Bye!